What would you have done if you had been on a plane on September 11th when it was hijacked, facing terrorists armed with ceramic knives? What would you do if a madman walked in here right now, shot the teacher, and then turned on the rest of us? How about if a madman sliced through your door, saying, "Here's Johnny"? There's only one way to stop these kinds of attacks. Now, I'm not here to scare you, despite what the examples may have made you think, but I am here to educate you and teach you that guns are not something that you should be afraid of, because there's so many other things that can kill you in this world that if you actually sat down and thought about it, you would never leave the house. And the Center for Disease Control has a very long chart, but here's just a few of the things that kill a lot more people than guns. Now, every single massacre that has happened in a gun-free zone. Virginia is one of the most free states when it comes to gun rights. If anyone saw the 2020 special a couple weeks ago, there's not that many laws there. But unfortunately, people think that one little sign is a magic talisman that's going to ward off evil, and that's just not the case. Well, that's supposed to lead to the Illinois State Police's website, so I'll just read off the crime statistics as I have them here now. Every 15 seconds in the U.S., a woman is beaten. There's a forcible rape every 5.5 minutes. And according to the FBI Uniform Crime Reports of 2007, 46 people are murdered each day. And with the country getting into the shape it is now, it's only bound to continue. Now, some of you might think, oh, that can't happen here. We're young, we're invincible, nothing's going to happen to us. But I imagine that a good portion of the 16,000 people who were murdered last year probably thought the same up until their last moments. All right, now a little bit of audience participation. Everyone heads down, please. You with the camera, I just close your eyes. Okay. How many of you here have a fire extinguisher?
Are we raising our hands?
Yeah, everyone raise their hands. All right, how many have a first aid kit at home? How many of you wear your seatbelt every time you get into the car? How many of you have insurance of any kind? How many of you have a non-lethal weapon, such as pepper spray or a taser? And how many of you have a lethal? I'm a weapons enthusiast. Nunchucks, knives, swords, guns. Guns actually aren't the favorite out of the many tools that I have, but they're the most efficient. Weapons such as a combat knife or a firearm. Okay, you can open your eyes now. I will put your heads up. All right, looks like we've got a smart group here who likes being prepared for emergencies. That tells me I'm not going to be doing this in vain every single time. Here's what I keep at home in case of emergencies. Big first aid kit, big fire extinguisher, big gun. Now, the reason I bought my first gun was because I nearly met the same fate as this man, Sean Taylor. His house was broken into, and all he had to defend himself with was a machete. Same thing happened to me in early 2008. There was a break-in, and all I had to defend myself with was a machete. Thankfully, I survived that, but I realized next time I might not be so lucky. Now, what's the difference between an armed would-be victim and a victim? The answer is a small handheld tool, which if carried efficiently, is invisible to everything except a metal detector. Now, before anybody panics, this is a rubber replica, but it's the same size and shape as the real thing, so please feel free to stick it in your waistband or your purse and see how easy it is to conceal. All right. Joel Myrick, the vice principal of Pearl, Mississippi High School, carried a firearm his entire adult life. In 1995, something called the gun-free zone law passed. That made a long list of categories of places where within 1,000 feet of that spot, no one can bring a gun in. Now, as I said before, laws like these are what get people killed. 2 years after that law passed, Pearl, Mississippi. Luke Woodham, a psychotic teenager, who may or may not have been part of the cult, launched an attack. He started off by killing his mother with a kitchen knife. Then he drove to the school, was going to shot up the high school, and Vice Principal Myrick was able to run to his car and get his pistol and subdue the shooter. As the kid was on his way to phase 3, he was going to go massacre a nearby middle school. Now, many of you may think that the police actually exist to protect you. I believed that at one point as well. Unfortunately, there was a little case in 1975 which proved that the police are not obligated to protect you. The case is Warren versus DC, and I have handouts for everyone here. Take one and pass them around. The townhome that 3 women were sharing was broken into, and 2 of them were upstairs asleep, woken up by the one downstairs who was being beaten and raped. About an hour, the women upstairs called the police. About an hour passed, police didn't come and save them. And they called out to their friend thinking, okay, maybe the guys are gone. Unfortunately, they weren't. And all 3 women then got raped for 14 hours. And the full story is in the case that's being passed around. Now, you may think that if you scream for help, or if you have something like this, that maybe a good Samaritan will come to your rescue. Anyone here know the story of Kitty Genovese? Show of hands? No? Woman in, okay, Paul. It was a woman in New York who was killed in front of 38 people, very slowly. It's not like it happened quick and no one had a chance to do anything. It happened over the course of an hour, and 38 people just stood by watching, did nothing. Your protection is in your hands alone, your responsibility. Now, it can be simple: pepper spray, a knife. I'm not going to pass that around because someone might cut themselves. Here is a different knife, plastic, or a baton. But firearms are the most effective. Oh, I hope that camera's getting a wide angle. But choose firearms for the same reason that politicians choose them. They're the most efficient tool for protecting life. Now, the Illinois State Police, I don't know if that's big enough for everyone to read, but their advice for you if someone is attempting to rape you is to put your fingers into your throat and make yourself vomit. That's how much they care about you. Now, politicians will tell you to give criminals what they want: your dignity, your money, your life. I say give them lead. Now, with all the extremes that you probably see on TV, you probably picture people who carry guns as either this or this. Neither is a very good image. Now, I'd like to introduce you to some friends of mine. Now, a lot of people think that just by allowing people to carry guns that the whole country is going to descend into chaos. But there's already 48 states that allow you to carry guns. Illinois, Wisconsin, and Washington, D.C. are the only places where it's not allowed. And it's no coincidence that Chicago is the murder capital of the world, and D.C. was formerly the murder capital of the world.